What do your children need from you when they are acting up? Welcome to Parenting Matters Now, a source of parenting advice a few minutes at a time. Hi, it's Dr. Roger Smith with Parenting Matters Now. The question begs a little bit of interpretation whenever we say act up, act out. You know, we are talking about misbehaviors or some type of unattractive or unappealing or inappropriate actions on the part of your children. And it is so important for us as parents to have good judgment as to how to respond in situations, because not every situation is created equal, and you know that. So that's why people ask about this is, do my children need discipline? Do they need attention? Do they need nurturing? You know, and I would say to all those, yes. Here's the problem. When people say, do my children need discipline, they usually mean punishment. And punishment is just one part of discipline. Discipline involves mostly training and some correction or punishment. The big picture is when a child's not controlling their behavior, they are acting in a way that is unbecoming to them and unbecoming to the family name or just the community or situation. The children need training, but sometimes be careful that the best time for training may not be in the heat of the moment. Sometimes they just need to be removed or extracted from the situation where you can and say, this is not proper behavior. This is not acceptable. And let's talk about this. You know, sometimes they cannot hear words, and that's where punishment becomes the language of the moment, to where they associate their attitude, their actions, whatever was going on with something that is unpleasant. And the punishment doesn't always have to be a physical punishment. It can be loss of privilege. It can be removal from a situation where they want it to be. Any number of things that can help them to associate what was going on with that's not acceptable. I will say generally this: children need to know that you are on their side. If there is a side to take, that you are with them and that your goal is not for them to stop them from embarrassing you. That's not the motive for any type of correction. The motive must be obvious to the child that you are trying to help them to grow up, help them to do what is good and wise and appropriate. And the best time to train those is before it happens. Probably the second best time is after it happens. And the last, and probably sometimes the most imperative, time to deal with the situation is while it is happening. I would caution you to be careful about correcting in the heat of the moment, because if a child is emotionally out of control, when their emotion is high, their listening is low. So they've got to be able to lower their emotion before they can hear the words. And so sometimes, just in wisdom, using your own head and not letting your emotions get out of control, you have to remove the child from the situation in some way so that they can regain control. And then you can say, okay, let's talk about what happened. And really talk about as almost as a friend, saying, you didn't see this happening, but from the outside, everybody else was seeing this. They saw not the situation that was making you mad, but they just saw you being mad and acting out and hurting other people. So it does take wisdom on our part and emotional control. And sometimes we just need to tolerate being embarrassed by our child's behavior and say, we're going to deal with this, but right now is not the best time. Sometimes right now is the best time. And that's where judgment comes in. And I would love to give you absolute rules for how to interact with your child, but rules just give you some guidelines, because every child is different. And you need to know how your child will respond, not cowering to their resistance, but looking for that opportunity where they are open to hearing, they're open to change, and create an atmosphere where it's okay to talk about mistakes, and that the mistake doesn't define that they are a loser or they are a failure, but that they just made a mistake. And let's learn from those things. So sometimes our children do need discipline, whether it's punishment or training. Sometimes they need time with you. Sometimes that's what was upsetting them. But they always need to know you're on the same team. This is Dr. Roger Smith with Parenting Matters Now.
Subscribe to Parenting Matters Now for more advice, or go to rogersmithmd.com to search for more topics. See you next time.